Right. My name is Dominic, and I'm interviewing Mark, who is a implementation specialist. Mark, what is your job title and company that you work at?
So again, I'm an implementation specialist. I work for a managed service provider. They provide IT services for small to medium businesses, ranging anywhere from 1 to 5 clients or 1 to 5 staff members to we have some of our clients as big as 250 employees.
All right. How long have you been doing this job?
So overall, I've been working in IT for over 10 years. This position I've been working in for the last 4.
Okay. What did you think your career was going to be in high school?
In high school, I actually wanted to be an architect, but
That's interesting.
that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Um,
One second. What is the pathway that brought you to where you are in your career today?
so in the last tour of my military career, a little over 10 years ago, I was working in the avionics department at NAS Oceana, and we were working on the avionics equipment, repairing it, and we did a lot of what was called calibration. So to make sure that everything lined up right and everything worked well. And you needed to have a fair amount of technology background. So it was kind of like a small area of IT for airplanes. And then after I left the service, I decided to finish my associate's degree, and I got a associate's in electronics engineering. Then I decided to move on to Regent University here in Virginia Beach, and I received a bachelor's degree in information technology with an emphasis on DoD security. Um, After that, I happened to come across a job where I was working for a government contractor. We actually built mobile IT networks in the back of a Humvee. It was actually pretty cool. They put a big box truck on it, and we put a whole bunch of servers, all network racks. It was actually pretty neat to see. Then we got to test drive them. So we took them off road to see how much we could knock out of the place. And most of the time, it didn't come out of place. Um, and then after that, I got a career. I got a position as a systems administrator. So I was managing this fairly large company that had 4 sites across the eastern United States. And during that time, I got a Security Plus certification. It's through CompTIA. While I was working on that, I had also gone back to school for some additional IT certifications. I also received one called the Certified Ethical Hacker. Yes, you can be certified to be a hacker. No, you shouldn't do it illegally. And then at the same time, the company that I'm currently working for had brought me on to work in this department.
Okay. That's good to know. What education was needed for the position you hold today, and what additional training was needed along the way?
So again, it was for this current position that my office typically requires at least 2 year degree, and 4 to 6 years of experience in the IT field. Now, it doesn't mean 4 to 6 years in implementations, but at least 4 to 6 years in a large network environment. The Security Plus and the CEH are a large, they're a big deal nowadays. Most IT networks are very, very security aware, or they try to be more cognizant of security issues. So a lot of companies tend to agree with, or they tend to they tend to look for those features. Sorry.
Thank you for that. What are some goods or services that your company provides?
So my company provides different types of IT support. We have a whole support team that actually works with all of our different clients. We have somewhere about 200 to 250 different clients. And again, they range from like 5 people to over 200 employees. So my support department works with them on day-to-day issues. My department, we work on new and updating technology. So whenever there's a new program that they want, or they want to switch to a different type of program, whether it's something as simple as upgrading their Microsoft Office applications or rebuilding an entirely new database and putting it into production. That's what my department does. Some days it can be as simple as installing a printer or turning on a laptop, but other days it could be installing an entirely new network infrastructure. So servers, computers, all new user accounts, whole new email system, everything.
Okay. What is your position and job duties that you have to perform?
So my position again is an implementation specialist. It goes hand in hand with like project management. So whenever a new project comes in, we have to kind of scope out what the client is asking for and what they need. And then once we're able to determine that, we can determine a better schedule to actually set up the technology that they're looking for. Again, whether it's a small program or whether it's setting up their whole new building.
Okay. What would be a typical day for you?
Typically, I arrive at the office around 8 a.m. I spend about an hour reaching out to clients, reviewing my projects for that day, and usually the next day. What we try to do is we try to make sure that we're still on schedule for what we're expected to do that day, as well as if there's any changes that have come up from, if there's been any additional changes that might stop the schedule from going on that day. And then my typical day is I start going out on my projects. So I could start at 9 o'clock. I could be at a project for an hour, or I could be at it for 4 days.
All right. What kind of tools and equipment do you use for your job?
So standard IT equipment for day-to-day use is a laptop, cell phone if needed, network cables, backup drives, but most of our technology is utilized in the cloud environment. So whether it's online tools or whether it's just running some software to test how the project's going, depending on what we're installing. But again, it's different kinds of software, a laptop, and some cables. That's about the extent of what you need.
All right. What do you like and what do you dislike about your position?
I like that we get to experience new and emerging technologies on a daily basis, especially since we have so many clients. Not everybody wants the same thing, so it's always kind of neat to see different options and what's working. Dislikes about the job is sometimes the hours can be a little long. It is a little bit of a stressful job because you are expected to install new equipment, new systems, new applications, and you have to try to keep your client happy as much as possible. And sometimes that's not always the easiest thing. So it can be a little stressful, but overall, being able to have something different to do every day is actually pretty cool.
Yeah. What would be like the work setting information for where you work, like like some sort of office?
Um, so my office is basically wherever the project needs to be. So I could work in the office or I could work at the client's site.
Um, do you work mostly with people, things, or ideas?
Um, in this type of field, you really work with all three. Somebody has an idea. They want to use this new program. They think it's the greatest thing. Except it doesn't work with their computers. Now I have to get them new computers, or I have to find computers it will work with. Then I have to work with those people to get it scheduled and make sure that it's working the way that they actually want it. So in this field, you work with all three all the time. Somebody has an idea, somebody wants you to make it happen, and then you have to figure out how to make it happen.
Right. What do you look for in someone if you were going to hire?
Flexibility. You have to be prepared to have your schedule change at a moment's notice. So some weeks I work 40-hour weeks. Some weeks I've worked 60-hour weeks. Some weeks I haven't had a whole lot of work at the office. So you have to be very flexible. You have to be able to manage the flexibility, the stress that comes along with that, because you are running from one place to another. You do have to have, again, some customer service skills, some communication skills, and then of course, a background in technology. And you always need to have an open mind on how things change. So those are some key points when looking for somebody. Before you even look at someone's background and their education, those are probably the 3 or 4 things you need to have first.
Would you use class content in your job, like math, English, etc.?
So I am constantly having communications with different people. So email and phone calls. So you really need to be cognizant or understanding of how, when you send an email out, how it sounds to somebody on the other side.
Right.
So proper punctuation, you need to understand that when you do write something in an email, you don't want to sound too overbearing when writing that. Technology is, it's a field of science and math. So depending on where you want to go in the technology field, it's really going to play a big factor. I do use different calculations and different equations in my spreadsheets. Granted, spreadsheets have some of that, but you need to understand how it works. And then again, everything is based on science in the technology field.
All right. Thank you for your time, Mark. And
Pleasure.
all of that was really good to know. I'm sure it will help other people in the future.
Great. Thank you.